It's Akiva again. I'm back to review this video about Andrew Schulz and for the BLM. I feel like, okay, let's go ahead and watch your boy here.
So I watched this Candace Owens documentary. Documentaries are fucking they should be illegal.
Dude,
Documentaries should be illegal.
100%.
You should need like FDA approval.
Wow. Coming from comedians, they want to ban art or for people who depend on speech.
Well,
A license or something?
It's
Bro, you need to
brainwashing.
be licensed for it. That's way more dangerous than a gun.
I agree.
Don't let people do documentaries. Give everybody a gun, no documentaries.
I
America
agree.
will be fine.
I agree. I don't.
I think he's being funny. He's being funny because give everybody a gun. Everybody should have a gun, and documentary can also be propaganda, right? So,
I don't trust documentaries because you have however many hours of footage you edited down into the most 90 convincing minutes you possibly have of just your.
Have this guy ever heard of executive summary? Has he ever heard of something like that? Of course.
Side. No.
Or heard of something called elevator pitch? I mean, he's Indian, but he sounds so dumb. How can you be Indian and be so stupid like that? I thought Indians are supposed to be smart. I mean, of course, if I read a whole Bible or something, if I'm explaining to you, I'm not going to read the whole thing. I'm going to condense it and give it to you. But he looks so serious, which I think they now have to give him a prop because I thought he was a weak comedian. The way he makes him feel looks like he believes it, which I don't think he does. So, sometimes I really do think a lot of these people, they don't want to get canceled, so they don't want to come off as right wingers. So they will say things, how come they've never reviewed any of the left wing documentaries? If you find that to be true with Candace Owens documentary, that means she's persuasive. I know they did a very good job.
Documentaries like, hey, one side says this and the other side says this, and you pick your own truth and see what it is. This is the facts. 90 minutes back to back, edited down.
Oh, and they got
hundreds
music.
of hours of footage.
There's music involved.
Let's take the 90 most crack minutes, the most fentanyl minutes, and put them into that 90 right there.
100%. And to also, when I was getting all the backlash on Instagram or YouTube or even DMs and shit, they were saying all these things, and this happens all the time when like people believe it, have like these.
Yeah, because I think he got himself into stuff. Because you watch your documentary and say, "Oh, I don't believe it," so you get points from your left wingers. But meanwhile, you don't know what you're talking about, so you probably should shut up. Andrew, Andy, whatever German name you have, because he's willing to, let's say, dunk on people on the right without knowing what he's talking about. Because see, this is why you know this guy is a fraud, right? Because you hardly hear him dunking on the left, but you hear him dunking on the right because it's easy. It's easy. It's the easiest thing to do. And he's, I heard he's supposed to be smart, but
Fringe ideas, right? It's like they know so much about their fringe idea that you don't know, so there's nothing you can say, right? Like when people talk about UFOs and that kind of shit, they're like, well, technically the way that the flight pattern was going, I don't know about flight patterns.
Yeah.
You're right. You can say anything to me that you know more about than me.
9/11.
And I can't push back.
I'm not a structural
The
engineer.
beams are the thing, and what am I supposed to say? No, that's not how beams are.
Yeah,
Right?
I might be onto something.
Exactly. So, that
is
might have been, bro. If Candace Owens put out a 9/11 documentary, I believe in 9/11.
Yeah. Wait, you don't believe in it now?
Honestly, before 9/11, it went 9.
Well, not all documentaries are persuasive. Not all documentaries are truth. I mean, I think some of the more effective documentaries that we have had were is it all over North or all over whatever the guy who did JFK assassination thing. There's a lot of conspiracy, right? And Kerry Evan, the documentary that he tweeted, oh my goodness, you can't watch that documentary, right? So to have a documentary that's persuasive, or even Michael Moore, I mean, one of the successful people, is to tell a story, and the story has to be persuasive. All right, let's go ahead and
10, 9, 12. Now, I believe in 9/11 100%. So Candace made me believe in numbers, bro. So she puts out this documentary, right? And her point of the documentary was, and also I blame Dave Chappelle for this shit, because she was like, I wasn't gonna do this until it became personal. And she played that Dave Chappelle clip of saying she got a stank pussy mad times in the documentary. Okay. And I think that hit her, bro.
Okay.
I do think, because that's for women, that's, you know what I mean? Especially if they got stinky pussies, that's a real fucking issue.
Have to have a stink.
They just have a black friend over here who's not very intelligent. This guy's not intelligent. He doesn't say anything. He's the most dumbest person. I think he just there to check a box.
I'm not saying she does. Don't make me a doctor. I'm not saying she does. I think that shit smells great.
I think it stinks. I think it stinks allegedly.
You think it stinks allegedly?
Yes.
Well, there was one allegation thrown out there.
Yeah.
Okay? And she makes this documentary. And the idea of the documentary is essentially that Black Lives Matter is a scam, a fraudulent organization.
Not the craziest theory I've ever heard in my life.
Now, there's a lot of evidence to prove that is true now.
Yeah.
Okay? If you watch that documentary,
there was a lot of evidence proved back then. Look, guys, you were protesting about police shootings. That literally, it's like every year back then, there's probably 12 police shootings that happen. Compared to, black on black crime that happened in Chicago, that every weekend there's a black kid who gets shot down by another black person, or but that's not what that was not what these people were about, because they didn't care about black life. So you guys are fraud. You see, you are fraud, because if you did really care about black lives, okay, where are black people dying? That's what you would have kind of, tackle or talk about, or what's killing black people. No, it's not police. Yeah, are there police misconduct? Yes, I have faced it. Because, and I think sometimes, people in authority think they can misbehave if they know they can get away with it, right? So most black people are probably poor or underclass. They do the same thing to poor whites. There was a clip going on during the pandemic where you have a cop going there, and she was condescendingly talking to these people on a trailer park because they were, because she felt like she could do that. She would never go to a white rich neighborhood and do that. So
you will believe it, bro. They got $90 million. They're giving $2.5 million to like Toronto trans organizations, right? They're giving millions of dollars to the Friends. Like this woman, Patrice Cullors, who runs the organization, right?
Fuck that bitch.
She doesn't like black people, but she bought a house in a white neighborhood. Even the fraud people, when they get rich, they move to the white neighborhood. They don't stay. It's like So the money that she got, she didn't use it to. I mean, she didn't even. If she would have buy a house, let's say apartment in a black neighborhood, we would say okay. She's renovated, gentrified and renovated a neighborhood. But she didn't. She moved to a white neighborhood and hired his family.
Which is
Fuck that bitch. She set back the movement decades, bro.
Yo, because
fuck that.
There is no movement. This guy is the most dumbest person, really, on YouTube with his, and I think they have him on just to make a checklist because he's so dumb. I mean, there are people that you disagree with, but he does not. Unless probably they're talking about maybe music or something that he or culture, because when it comes to anything politics or philosophy that they talk about, it's so embarrassing. I'm like, so this is what white people really think about black people. It's like, let's get the dumbest black person that we could find. Let's find. And that's what they found. This guy. So,
Ass bitch.
so yeah. So she's all gonna kick it. He's not gonna critique.
Straight up. Yo, I don't give a fuck. I'm telling you.
You're allowed to say it. Yeah. No, you're good.
Yeah. What do you want to do, bro? What do you want to do?
Wait, let me cook up. I hate that bitch, though. I hate her more than Candace Owens.
Really?
Wow.
Yeah.
I see that.
Yeah.
I understand the frustration because what Al, you even texted the group. She set back. She set back the black empowerment movement decades because it's going to be very hard for the average.
Candace Owens is annoying, but most people who do good things are annoying. What has Candace Owens done that you say, oh, I hate her? Because she's been told to hate her. You know, that's why I say he's stupid. He was dumbest, black person alive.
Person that donated to this thing to believe in the future that the same thing won't happen, right? So I understand that completely, right? But so what she's doing is she's exposing later on in the documentary, she's like where all the money goes. She's like tracking it because you have to file these IRS reports, right? Yeah. So you can see where the money goes if you're a charity. You don't have to pay taxes, but you got to show what you're spending the money on.
Right.
So they're going like,
I mean, but let's say she gets special treatment because I think if it was anybody else, that person probably would have been in jail already. But she's getting special treatment because she's still not.
She hires her brother to do, she has baby daddy to do security. She has her brother to do the video stuff, which we would all do. You know what I'm saying?
No. If you're going to do it, you're going to do the right way. Okay. There's nothing wrong with hiring people that you know, especially for a small organization. Most organizations do that. Even most people do that. When you start a business or when you start, I remember when we were starting an organization, most of the people who were working actually back in those days, they were all volunteer. We're my friends, right? So of course, but when you are literally defrauding, people who who could not perform the work, but you just put them on so that you could siphon money from the organization. That's fraud.
And like that's the thing. We would like I give a little bit of pushback in that regard. Like if you got $90 million, I'm gonna hire y'all. You know what I'm saying? Akash is the head of, I don't know, haircuts or something. You know what I mean? Like whatever it is, you're gonna.
I need about 1.5 million a year for that job.
Yeah, exactly. You're gonna throw the money around, but at least when you get caught throwing money around to the homies, you just go, you got me, yo.
Yeah.
They still play the victim. I'm being attacked. I can't believe Candace Owens is out here doing all this shit. So I could see the frustration with that, especially with the people who already didn't fuck with Black Lives Matter. Yeah. So if you already don't fuck with Black Lives Matter and you see that the organization was involved in some scammy shit, now
organization was a fraud in the beginning. I always say, look, this was a way for white people to buy penance, right? It was not really an organization that was set up to do any good. It was for white people to feel good about themselves. Oh, look at me, I did something. And those of you that give money, you destroy a community. You should be ashamed of yourself. You should be ashamed of yourself.
You're like, see, I was fucking.
She was
right.
living in like a $5 million house.
Oh, they bought
like,
property everywhere.
Yeah,
son.
mad
it's
properties,
Can't
5
even
houses.
say Black Lives
They
Matter
got a show
now.
coming out of Home and Garden.
What?
Yeah, they got a Flip It show.
There's no way.
No, they got a.
That flip.
That's fucked up, yo. Yo, they're gonna have Mexicans doing the renovations in the fields and shit like that.
You didn't
Fuck,
know that?
bro.
No, they got a bunch of trans coming in and building that shit mad quick.
Shit, flip it up.
Yo, that's
flip it up.
empowering. That's empowering.
Yo, but the
Flip
shitty
it and
part,
snip it.
the shitty part, you can't even say Black Lives Matter without giving the disclaimer. It's like, oh, I'm talking about the movement, not the organization. Like, that shit sucks.
Yeah, they fucked the whole thing.
Yeah.
Yes.
Black lives matter. White lives matter. Every lives matter.
Now, so you see all that. That's very convincing and also very frustrating, right? There's the George Floyd part. And her issue with George Floyd, she says that it's fentanyl that killed George Floyd. That's what she's saying. And then there's a lot of people who haven't even watched the documentary.
That I don't even know a lot about it because they say fentanyl, the examiner gave a different thing, but whatever it is, see, this is what I don't get about the rights. You know that they die on a hill. That's the dumbest thing that I can ever find out. Say, a cop didn't put his leg on this thing because he wanted him to calm him down. No, he did it because he wanted to humiliate him.
They just fucking heard that narrative and they're just running with it. And it's so obvious now. I've seen the documentary. Okay?
Yeah.
Now, the big issues I'm learning are now is the way that Chauvin had his knee on Floyd's neck, he wouldn't be able to choke him out. Now, yeah, that makes sense. You're not going to choke somebody by putting your knee on the back of their neck. You've never seen anybody do that in fucking jujitsu, right? You choke somebody by going like this and pulling, right? So what people are jumping at that and go, well, I guess he must have died because of the fentanyl. And we're going to get to another point that I want to get to in a second. Now, did he have fentanyl in the system? Yes. They also say, and they pick up the most specific words. They're like, he had a lethal amount of fentanyl in the system. You don't know what's lethal to somebody.
Yeah.
Okay, we were at Burning Man. There's a lot of people who had lethal.
But most of the time, we know what it's lethal. Dude, don't be a jackass. Yeah, it doesn't always end up in the same way for a lot of people, but most of the time we know what lethal is, right? We do. So why are you acting like like you don't know what it is?
Lethal amounts of drugs in their system.
Yes.
It did absolutely fucking nothing for a week.
100%,
You don't know what's lethal to this man.
These
okay?
guys probably love rock music, and like Keith Richards has done a lethal amount of every drug.
Exactly. Especially if you are a user, your tolerance is going to be way higher. So you don't know exactly what it is. And furthermore, these are the same motherfuckers that during COVID, they were like, oh, they're over-reporting the amount of COVID deaths. You know, you're old and you die and you have COVID in your system, it's because of COVID. You have a heart attack and you die because you have COVID in your system, it's COVID. They blamed everything, remember?
I'm not sure what kind of point he's trying to make, because he's mixing two things that doesn't go together. Tired of this guy. Alright, that's Andrew's show. Simping for the left. Again, embarrassing.